Alright everybody, G-Funk here. Feeling a little bit better. Gonna try and get this prediction in as quick as possible. Cause real busy. But I wanna squeeze this one in real quick. Trying to do as many predictions as I can. Cause there's just so many fights, man, and that's a good thing. So this is gonna be the lights out, the Friday night lights out on Spike TV prediction that I'm gonna do. Um, as part of the PBC, the Premier Boxing Champions. We got two pretty good fights. You got Andre Berto versus Josesito Lopez, and Showtime Shawn Porter versus Roberto Garcia. Two good fights, man. I think they're both going to be pretty entertaining. I have a feeling they're both going to end in knockout. I'm just going to say that right now before I get into my prediction. But I think they're both going to end in knockout. So, let's get right into it. I'm going to start with the Berto versus Lopez fight. I think this is a pretty good matchup. Both guys are, on the comeback trail. Both need, wins to stay relevant in the welterweight division. Andre Berto, as we saw the last time we saw him, he was in the ring. He fought against some dude named Steve Chambers, and he won a unanimous decision, 10 rounds. But before that, had a couple of tough losses. One to Robert Guerrero, it was a brutal fight, and Jesus Soto Caras. Well, that was also a pretty good, entertaining fight. He suffered some injuries in that fight. Andre Berto did, but he looked good in his last fight against this guy named Chambers. I personally didn't see the fight. I don't even know if it was on TV or not, but I didn't see it. But Berto comes in with a record of 29 wins, 3 losses, and 22 KOs. Decent record. But he has come up short on the big stage. In my opinion, I do feel like back in 2009 when he fought Luis Collazo, I thought Collazo won that fight. I think that they gave him that gift decision. And after that, his next biggest fight was Victor Ortiz. He lost that fight. It was also a good fight, good close fight. And Robert Guerrero, that was also a pretty close fight. And the Soto Caras fight was also close too. So I mean, he's been competitive in some of his biggest fights, but he's come up short in all of them. So I think he's very hungry. He's got a new trainer in Virgil Hunter, who's a pretty good trainer, and I expect to see the best out of Andre Berto because he really needs to look good here in this fight. He's very fast and explosive. Has good power. Defensively, he's not the best. He does get hit a lot. He has shown to take a good shot, but he has gone down, several times in his career. But, he gets back up and he continues to fight. He's got a lot of heart. He showed that against the Soto Caras when he hurt his arm and he continued to fight and ended up getting stopped later, and I think it was the 12th round. So, he is tough. And but he is flawed defensively, and his chin is kind of questionable to me, but does have speed and power, which is can get you by in a lot of fights in boxing. It's just a matter of trying to fix those flaws that he has, and I think Virgil Hunter is a good guy to help him with that. We'll just have to see if it if it comes to pass. You know what I'm saying? When we'll find out tomorrow night against Josesito Lopez. Now, Josesito Lopez, he's a guy who has got a reputation, a reputation now of being called this Rocky, Riverside Rocky, something like that, because of his upsets and things like that. He first got on the main stage. Against Jesse Vargas, and he lost a split decision there. Then his next fight was, he kind of filled in for someone, I think, with Victor Ortiz. You know, he ended up winning that fight because Ortiz had a broken jaw. Ends up fighting, you know, Canelo Alvarez at 154 pounds and gets annihilated. Then he gets knocked out by Marcos Maidana. And, you know, since then he's had you know, a couple of fights. Um, you know, he had a TKO win against some guy named Aaron Martinez. You know, I haven't seen him fight since that Maidana fight. But, you know, he's another guy who, you know, when he stepped up, he's came up short. Now, the only time he didn't come up short was against the Victor Ortiz. But, you know, let's look at the whole picture here. Now, he won the fight because Ortiz couldn't continue because of a broken jaw. But at the same time, he was losing that fight, you know, on the judges' scorecards. He was losing, and, you know, that you know, to me, you know, he would have probably ended up losing that fight if Ortiz was able to continue and just suck it up. But, you know, we know what happened there. So again, I mean, I like guys like Josesito Lopez who show a lot of heart and who are willing to fight, you know, anybody, anytime, anywhere. But, you know, to me, I just don't know. I mean, something about him, he's just, I don't know, he's just not that good to me, you know? I mean, he's very tough, very gritty, very game, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know, man. I think he's going to end up getting knocked out in this fight, and that's going to be my prediction here. I don't know. I just don't think he has enough power to hurt Berto like some of these other guys who have hurt him. And I just think that Berto's hand speed is going to be, you know, a lot for him to handle. You know, I mean, he is tough, don't get me wrong, and I think he's going to fight until the end. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. So, you know, I'm going to take Andre Berto. Plus, I think he's just, you know, I think he's naturally smaller than Berto. You know, he did come up in weight for that Ortiz fight. And, you know, I didn't really see him hurting Ortiz, like, to where he was going to knock Ortiz down. You know, I mean, he did catch him with his mouth open and broke his jaw, but I never seen Ortiz, like, you know, in trouble. Obviously, he never hurt Canelo. You know, he did hurt Maidana to the body, but, I mean, who hasn't hurt Maidana to the body, you know? So, and I mean, I don't know, man. For me, I just don't think he belongs in that division. I think he should be at 140 pounds, personally. But, you know, it is what it is, man. And, you know, I'm going to take Andre Berto in this fight. Yeah, I just think he's much better overall than Lopez is. And the hand speed and the power, I think, is going to hurt Lopez in this fight. So I'm going to take Andre Berto. Now, we can move on to the next fight. Shawn Porter versus Roberto Garcia. Now, Roberto Garcia is a guy who I've seen a couple of times on Friday Night Fights. And, you know, he is ranked in the top 20 in the welterweight division. And, you know, he's very tough. Likes to throw good hard shots. Likes to come forward and bang it out. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Lights Out, you know, their version of Road to, or, you know, All Access, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. But they did do, you know, a story on Garcia, and, you know, there's some tragedies that happened in his life. And, you know, it's amazing to see people come through those things and still move on with their life and do big things. And he's doing big things, you know, fighting on ESPN. Now he's fighting on Spike TV, on the Premier Boxing Champions. You know, he's done a lot in his life. You know, that toughness, you know, is something that you can't always rule out. You know, he looks very, very strong to me. So, you know, Shawn Porter, he's definitely going to have to bring it, I think, against Garcia. But when I look at the other side and I see Shawn Porter, you know, I just see, again, just like with the other fight, I see, you know, more talent on that side. Porter's got, you know, more hand speed. I believe he does hit harder. And, you know, I just think he has a little more boxing skill overall than Roberto Garcia. You know, Porter is also coming off of a loss to Kell Brook, and you know, I thought that was a competitive fight, but I did have Shawn Porter losing that fight. Very competitive though, and Shawn Porter is a guy, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Shane Mosley, a young version of Shane Mosley. When he comes forward and throws those hard right hands, and that's something I kind of like about him. Shane Mosley was a guy who I used to enjoy watching back in the day in his prime. The early 2000s, the speed and the power, just like Shawn Porter. They're not similar like with everything, but just a few things that he does in there reminds me of Shane Mosley in a way. But I'm gonna go ahead and take Shawn Porter in this fight. I think he's gonna end up stopping Garcia too, because as game as Garcia is, I think he's gonna run into some heavy shots here. And Shawn Porter's a guy who, even when he's getting beat, like it was against Kell Brook, he never stops coming. I'd never seen any quitting him. I never seen him stop trying to win that fight. He just couldn't get it done at the end of the day. But I do see him winning this fight by knockout, and I think it's going to be very exciting. Both of these fights, can't wait to see it. Go to work, get off, come home, eat some dinner, and watch the fights. Man, geez, what else can you ask for as a fight fan? On a Friday night, you come home from work, have some dinner, open up a beer or something like that, and just sit down and watch the fights, man. So it's going to be a good night. And those are G-Funk's predictions for the PBC Friday Night Lights Out. And, I'm going to hit you back with a post-fight afterwards. So I'm out.